Well, I want to welcome everyone to Dr. Joshua Speaks panel. This is the last panel of a very interesting year. So thank you all for joining us and taking time out for this panel today. Today's topic is Black Fathers on Fatherhood, Holiday Traditions, and New Year's Resolutions. I anticipate this will be an engaging discussion, so I encourage the participants to send in your comments and your questions into the chat feature in Zoom. And if time permits, we'll try to get to your questions and answer them at the conclusion of the panel. If not, I'll capture them and we can respond to you via email. Now, joining Dr. Joshua are three of his close friends, and he'll reintroduce them a little more to you. Is James Allen. Get James. We have Minister Zul Showe and Levell Dunn. Now, it is truly my pleasure to introduce my boss, Dr. Joshua Smith. He is the lead pastor of Zoe Christian Center, or Christian Fellowships of Whittier, California, professor at Biola University, and the founder of the Solomon Center for Hope, and this platform, Dr. Joshua. So again, welcome for joining us. Welcome to all of our special guests, all your participants, and we hope you enjoy. Dr.
Thank you, Jamie, for that warm introduction. And it is my pleasure to be here with friends of mine. So we've been having online discussions for the last, I think this is our sixth one, and it's been great having all kinds of distinguished guests, but these are also distinguished guests. We've been talking with at our height, we talk weekly and we hang out. Before Corona, we would, go to Buffalo Wild Wings on a weekly basis and just talk about life and talk about family, talk about being fathers, being husbands, all those kind of things. And we thought we would bring some of that conversation here and kind of end the year with some warm thoughts about, what we've been experiencing and what we have to look forward to. We're looking forward to talking about fatherhood, holiday traditions, and New Year resolutions. So I want to say briefly some things about each one. I'll start with Zul. I think I've known him the longest. We've gone back a long time. We sort of met each other at church, but we both had the sense that we kind of knew each other earlier than that. We're trying to figure out exactly how that was the case, but we've known each other a long time. I've watched Zul through his marriage and having his kids and just kind of being an excellent person, just an amazing person. But he's an incredible dad, incredible husband, incredible leader in his community. And I admire him for that. Man of great wisdom. And so looking forward to you hearing what he has to say. Levell, I've learned in a similar way. We know each other from church. Both of our fathers are in ministry. And Levell is an amazing guy. I mean, he can come off as being quiet, but he actually has a lot to say. He has a lot to say. He's very observant. He's very smart. He's a committed husband and father and an amazing man in his church and his community. And I know people love him on his job. I know that because he's committed. He's a problem solver. And he's a great person to have on a team, and we enjoy having him in our discussions when we talk weekly. So Levell, I'm glad that you're here. And then, of course, James Allen, I got to meet him at my children's school. We would see each other in passing before COVID. When we were dropping our kids off at school, we would run into each other, what have you. And I told him about my weekly discussions. He was like, "Yeah, let's go check it out." So since then, he hasn't stopped coming yet. Every week we have our online discussions now, but before that, we would meet at Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever it was. And he's great. James is a lot of fun. He likes to joke, but he has some really interesting thoughts. So he's a deep thinker. And so he always has these insights that he has to share with us that we're always happy to hear. So he's a great man. He has a lovely family. I guess I could say a lot of kids, but you you keep popping them out, brother. But anyway, you are an amazing guy, and we love having you here. But anyway, I'm going to open up this conversation with my friends here, and really, the first question I want to ask all of you, and any one of you can chime in here, is what has it been like being a father in 2020?
Wow. If you don't mind, I'd like to go first on this one because It's been heavy. For me, I have two sons and one daughter. So the biggest thing that I've been trying to do is to stay in a kind of a coach mindset where I want to keep them motivated and keep them on task. It's easy since we're all locked down in COVID to just sit there and do nothing. They're going to school on the internet, and then soccer practices have stopped and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, well, uh, yeah, you can't just sit here and do nothing, guys. You got to keep going. You got to keep pushing, motivating, and every day I got to keep pushing them. So to me, it's made me have to step up more in my fatherly duties, than as before. It was just, a lot of things happen automatically, but now, I got to put conscious effort behind it. So I've been working on it. I think I'm doing okay, but it's heavy.
I think for me, it's been challenging because you're used to your kids being active, and the one thing I don't want them to do is sit around the house and do nothing. So what I've done is I've had to cut out some of my work schedule and actually take the kids to parks and just have them run, have them practice the game they love. They love playing soccer too, so and they excel at it. So my thing is to get them active, book reading. I love to read books, and so I have them reading about themselves, trying to understand who they are, because these are things that you're not going to learn in school. Of course, you're going to learn about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. One was bad, one was good. But I want them to learn about their history as well. So I've been putting books in front of them to educate themselves about themselves. And also, like I said, trying to keep them active.
Yeah, I think it's the same part. Yeah. So trying to keep them active. My kid's always active. I have a 6-year-old daughter who doesn't stop being active. Even if she sleeps, she's active. So I've been trying to find ways, or we've been as a family trying to find ways to go through and, make her room a jungle gym, build a rope, find some stuff she can jump on because she wants to jump on the couch. So at this point, she can't jump outside and she can't go jumping or play in the playground because that's closed. So, and then for online, I'm a huge advocate. I like technology, so I know that at some point they need to use it. So balancing out, okay, you're going to be on the phone, or I watch this, entertainment stuff, or you can play this game about math or reading. And so I'm trying to balance the two out and say I can't cut out all, away from the technology because that's where I feel that's going to head towards. So kind of make sure she's still a kid, because she's sit there and she's now still on these learning and on school, on Zoom and trying to pay attention, and she's trying to, still be a kid. So trying to balance those two out. At the same time, I think not only the school part, but even with 2020 with what's happening COVID for her, it's like that's why is this happening? How did it happen? And so getting her into a routine of just praying for. So every night she prays for America and calling and the sickness or disease and get over it. So it was really cool. It was hard this year, but it was really cool watching her as she continued to pray and say, hey, Dad, it came out with the vaccine. I've been praying and praying, and vaccine came out. So it's pretty cool watching as that progression and seeing as it's hard this year for her. It's helping her to build also her faith. That she saw in the beginning how, first things are open and then things are closed. She can't visit her friends. She can't go outside. She can't go out play. She has to wear a mask all the time. Why do you wear a mask? It's too itchy. It's too weird. Okay, I'll get you a cute mask then. So now I get a decorative mask, so it actually, goes with outfits. And so it's as a father, it's learning to still be the father, for me, allow her, protect her, allow her to grow. I want her to be open and free, but at the same time, with going on America as a father, a Black father, I still have to protect what's going on between, COVID. Why is the riots happening? Why are people angry? So there's this conversations I knew I was going to have, but it's happening more earlier at her age than I thought it would be. I'm not trying to ease her into these conversations that I'm forced not to ease into anymore.
You make some really good points, Levell. As you were talking, it made me think about also my own, experience. I mean, I feel like COVID has really made me think deeply about it, what it means to be a father, because similar to what you were saying about your daughter and the things you have to account for, feeling myself accountable for things I can't control. Mm-hmm. That is like, okay, so COVID's happening, but I'm still responsible for my children and making sure they have a fulfilling life. And when we're in a non-COVID situation, you kind of have things that kind of like you have patterns and things that make your life work. And when those things aren't in place, it's just you and your family. And I get to be around my kids in context I normally wouldn't have. So certainly the summer is what it is. But during the school year, I'm not normally with them at 11 o'clock in the morning, and to see them in school and their dynamics and all those other kind of things. And so I'm just deeply reflective. As parents, you become responsible for enriching their experience. And so and part of me, like, obviously I'm at work. Marcy's doing her thing at work, and then they're in school. But sometimes a little guilt kind of sits in. It's like, should I be doing more? They haven't been. I need to get them outside. All those other kind of things. So those have definitely been things that I've been processing. But also, it's also been a joy to like develop and learn new kind of family traditions, things that we've had to invent because we haven't had other options. So those have been really good. I want to ask you all this question. First of all, I should have asked you this at the beginning. So when you answer this next question, why don't you share a little bit about your children, how many children you have, daughters, sons, et cetera. So make sure you say that for the audience. But also, I'm really curious about, when did you first start thinking about fatherhood? Was it something that you thought about seriously when you first had kids? Or did you think about fatherhood long before you were a father? Did you think about it when you were a kid? That kind of thing. So any one of you can go first and share about that.
I'll start. I'll try to keep it as short as I can. But I thought about it when I saw how, trying to think of a politically correct way of saying it, but just basically looking at how Black women are raised. I've dated several Black women, and the common denominator, the takeaways I have from all those relationships, lack of the father. I've dated Hispanic, I've dated Caucasian, Asian, and the one thing with them, the father and the mother in the household. So I vowed to myself then that I would not raise a kid, or I would not be in a relationship if I didn't feel like that it wasn't worthy enough for me to have a kid. And if I did have a kid, I would not abandon that kid. Most of the Black women, even when I was coaching high school football, most of the kids didn't even know who their fathers were. I used to wonder all the time why all the athletes would say, "Hi, mom, hi, mom." Most of them didn't know their fathers. And I know it's funny, but then again, it's the truth.
Yeah,
so, and I looked at how, I always wondered how that affects a woman when they don't have the father in the home. Not just the kid, but the actual woman taking care of the kid, because she has to play, there's no balance. She has to play mother and father. But as in regards to the kids, when there's an absence of the father, I always thought how that impacts the way that young girl grows up to love, the decisions that she makes, and the men that she grows to attract, because she has no foundation and she has no understanding what a father or a husband or even a lover is supposed to be. So I vowed always to show my kids there's balance in the household. When my wife does something in the household and my kids see it, I make sure I compliment her, so my kids can see, okay, well, yeah, that's what a mother and a father is supposed to be. And when they see that balance, when they see, mommy and daddy are working things out together, it gives them, a different perspective on what marriage is supposed to be, what to look for in a husband. But we also have to be careful because, kids, they play mom against dad. So if mom's not doing well, but dad's doing good, then what they're going to do is try to stick to the side that's winning. If mom's doing well and dad's doing bad, mom is the authority in the household or something like that. So my thing is, I always wanted to make sure that I was a part of my kids' life and also teach them that balance that a household is supposed to show. Give them that foundation and the blueprint of how a family is supposed to be.
So in your early dating life, you cultivated an additional sense of responsibility, just looking at, the context around you, and you really wanted to be a good father. That's an amazing motivation. James, for the benefit of our audience, could you talk a little bit about your family, how many children you have, if you have sons, daughters, et cetera?
I met my wife, Kristen, in the church. I was raised in Islam, and I broke away. And sure enough, I just prayed about it, let me know this is the right place. And when I met my wife, she was a wonderful person. She still is a wonderful person. And you know what? We had that, we were like-minded. And I love that about her. So when we got married, if I'm not mistaken, and I hope she's not watching this, in 2002. And sure enough, no, but we started off with twins. My oldest twin is Jazea. The name is Arabic, and also her sister Jayla. And 3 years later, we had another daughter, Leia, who's 11 now, and also we have a 2-year-old, Brooklyn. So I have 4 daughters, and I think this is God's way of telling me, look, you made a promise. You saw something when you were younger about these fatherless homes, and you saw how you took advantage of some of these women. So I'm going to lay it on you to basically show your daughters how not to turn into something that basically what you did when you were younger. Because again, we all, and I'm not saying all of us on this panel, but we all want something easy, whether it's a job, whether it's money, we all quick and fast. Unfortunately, that was my way of thinking when it came to relationships. I just wanted it quick and fast. So this is God's way of saying, teach your daughters not to grow up like the women you used to disrespect.
Wow.
Okay.
And thank you for thank you for that, James. Thank you for your brief answer too. That was
brief, very brief.
Always good for that, man.
Yeah. For me, I have 2 sons, 1 daughter. I have an 18-year-old son who's in college now, and then a 16-year-old daughter, and then a 14-year-old son. So my daughter is the only girl. She's in the middle. She's got that middle child thing going on. She's my princess. With my boys, I'm trying to make sure that I, build strong men. The biggest thing about what I'm going through is, I don't know. I think that I've always known that I wanted to be a father, like always, like childhood. Like I never didn't think I wanted kids. Some people know that, oh, no, I never want kids. That was never me. Like I always knew I was going to be a father. And I grew up in a close relationship with my father. So for me, I always absorbed a lot of what I saw from him. I was a very good person to learn from watching other people's lives. So when I saw what my father did, I saw the good things he did. I wanted to make sure that I emulate those, and the things that he made mistakes on, I want to make sure not to make those mistakes, for my kids. And my goal is always to make the next generation better than the generation that I'm in. You know what I mean? So I look at them and I'm like, okay, what can I do to improve their world? And that's always been the case. I've always been focused on that. When I met my wife, I'm like, yeah, this is the one. Let's make a family. And it was, even with her, it was never a thing about, do you want kids? It was, when are we having kids? How many? We had a plan. It didn't go according to plan, but whatever it does, but everything's been good for us.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Zul. Levell, you have thoughts on the same question?
Sure. So I have a daughter, 6-year-old daughter, full energy. I have 1 goddaughter, about the same age. For myself, for fatherhood, I don't know. For me, it was probably, mine goes a little farther back, and I may lead into other questions, but I love my father. I'm a great father, but my biological father was never around. And so for me, it started way back before I even started dating. I thought ahead of time where, before I even dated someone, will this be a person, if I had sex with, would I want to share custody with a child with if it didn't work out? And so I would even hesitate on dating, even kind of hesitate, even having sex for marriage, not because it was holy, because I still wanted it. It's just the fact that because I understood, even though I had a father, there was still along with me wanting to know my biological father. And I never got to know him. He actually passed away before I got to actually physically see him. The first time I actually I saw him was at his funeral. And so for me, that was really kind of drove me to, okay, fatherhood is important because I understand of being different and not knowing a father. Even though you have a father like one, I have a great father. You know, he does great work and he's done a great job and he's taken care of, you know, my brothers and I. But having that part of it and not being there kind of strengthened me that I wanted to be a strong father and be present there and know the importance of the role. Um, so yeah, so that's part of it. So that's kind of what drove me part of it. Cause I'm have that part. I also have a brother and sister from my biological father. So I have extended family that kind of fits in. And so my role was kind of always weird for me because in my sense, everyone is a half brother, half sister to me. So everyone is kind of, I understand that having that father and the figure.
I mean, that's a compelling thought. I hadn't heard someone describe their experience in such a way where that's how that in terms of how it shaped even your relationships and dating and how weighty that is. I mean, that's a very interesting perspective. I grew up with my father, with my biological father, and just kind of took that as a given for myself. And I didn't, I hear people talk about the absences of their fathers. I didn't have that experience. However, my father did not grow up with his father. And so I don't think I really thought about it until relatively recently, but I, in an indirect way, sense that absence of my father not having his father in the kind of how could you say, like, you eventually got to meet him like later, and I got to meet my father's father later in life, but it was much later. But it was kind of secondhand, having a small sense of that, kind of like how you solve an equation and there's no number, it's just a letter, and it's just what is that? I had a faint sense of that reality, through my father's experience, But in terms of my own family, I like many of you, like all of you, I had thought about fatherhood as a child. Thankfully, I had the example of my parents, but it was just always kind of straightforward to me. I was going to get married. I was going to have kids. I have two sons, and they're both relatively young, 10 and 7. But they are, they continue to motivate me. And as I told you before, during the quarantine, just having so much time with them, I think a lot about my responsibility. I'm the only person in the house that can teach them how to be a man up close. So those kind of things I think about a lot. You guys tell me this. So tell me about what you felt fatherhood was when you had your first child, and compare that with your experience of fatherhood now. Are they the same? Are they different?
You know what, man? When I first had my twins, man, it softened my heart because I was still walking around like I was a tough guy back in the day. I'm a tough guy. When I have these kids, I'm a sit back and do this and do that and keep all these people away from them. But it softened my heart, man. It taught me how to love. I've never, outside of my parents and my siblings, I've never loved anybody, or I never felt that love unconditionally as that day that they were born. Because most relationships and most, even with families, our love is transactional, right? I'm not going to do this unless you do this. You find that in relationships and everything. But I didn't understand what unconditional love was until I had those kids, until my wife had the kids, of course. When I held them, I didn't care if they cried all day. I was still going to love them without asking for anything in return. And it's gotten better. To answer the second part of your question, it's gotten better because I'm trying to teach them how to love unconditionally as well. And that, to me, that's fun. Like when they argue with each other and they argue amongst themselves and, go through what children go through because they think the parents are being too hard or parents don't understand what we're talking about. It just is, to me, it's got my relationship and my understanding of love has gotten better over the years. And it just makes me even more proud that I stayed in my kids' lives. It makes me more proud to, want to do extra. Like I could have said, you know what? I'm gonna make this amount of money and that's it. And they're gonna have the bare minimum. But seeing the smiles on their faces and see how they interface with, their siblings and each other, to me, it's like, dang, you know what? I'm gonna do more so they can have more, or so they can have more than the average kid, because I love them so much. Do they give me the same thing? Do they make sure, my breakfast is made or not? No, they don't. But that's what I'm talking about, is unconditional. What comes back to you is uncertain. Love is not a boom. Yeah, love is not a boomerang when you sit back and you're looking at your kids. I don't expect anything back from them, but for them to get good grades and all that. But yeah, my understanding of it now, I mean, I feel better now than what I did when they were first born.
I think for me, when my first son was born, it felt like a sense of accomplishment. I remember everything about being in delivery room when he was born. But I think what I felt more than anything was like, okay, this is an extension of me, and I'm gonna build him up as much as I can to understand the world the way that I do. Now he's 18 years old, and I've realized that I was wrong thinking that in the delivery room, that he is his own man. And that's not my duty. My duty is not to make him a clone of me. My duty is to make sure that he has tools to be able to succeed in the world. So from where I was, back in 2002 to where I am now in 2020, night and day. But I think that the biggest thing that I've always been able to accomplish is being able to see what's ahead so that I can get him ready for it. But it's not about him doing what I did. It's about making sure that he's able to succeed on his own, doing things his way.
Yeah. Cool. For myself, I'm still the young kid around here. I only got 6-year-olds, so my journey is still going. I'm nowhere near as well in James. But yeah, I think the same part where the first day, I know I had to go through it and make difficult conversations and make sure my daughter is safe. And it's been the same way. I'm still have the same perspective of, I guess, having a daughter and wanting to protect her. As she get older, is now letting her grow into her own, and kind of keep expanding that bubble until she's free to be herself. But yeah, I'm loving it. So I'm unfortunately like James. My daughter takes care of me. She's like, "Hey, Dad, you hungry?" So she always looking out for me, and she just got that big heart. Especially now she's here, so sometimes she comes in right now, which she's not supposed to, but there's nowhere else to go. But yeah, I'm enjoying fatherhood, so I'm enjoying it well.
It is
like
nice.
Breakfast for me a couple times. I think I cook more breakfast than they do, but
She may not cook it, but she thinks about it. So she might bring me some cold toast or some cold bread, but
It's the thought. It's the thought.
Yeah. Actions speak louder than words.
Right.
It is the thought. It is nice. Parenting is reflexive because, for me, it makes me think about my own parents. Like, oh, man, they must have been thinking this. They must have been thinking about that. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. It's an epiphany when you realize your parents are people. Obvious. I think I'm learning as an adult about my parents through my kids. That dynamic, that epiphany of like, yeah, they went through the same things you went through, ups and downs and hopes and dreams and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I definitely know I sound like my father when I'm talking to my kids. I was like, well, I'm saying it, and as I'm saying it, I'm like, wow, my dad said the same thing to me.
That's the biggest picture for me when I had that moment, like, man, I'm saying the exact same thing my dad said to me right now, aren't I? I just start laughing. My cat like, why are you laughing? You don't understand, but I sound like your grandfather. That's all. I sound like your grandfather.
Somebody asked me this the other day because we were having a conversation about our dads. Both of our dads have passed away, but he asked me, at one point in time, did you realize that your dad wasn't the superhero that you grew up to admire? And I said to myself, like, man, you know what? I still consider my dad a superhero because what he did for us. My mom worked 2 jobs. You know what I mean? I remember my dad not having childcare. He when we moved out here from Chicago, he used to clean up the theaters, Edward Cinemas, when they were just first starting to cook. So he used to take me in the back of the car, and the whole family would be sitting in the car, or we would sit in the seats while he vacuumed, took the blower out, and blew the change up and everything. And we used to help him. At some point in time, we just got up and started helping him. We just wipe down stuff. Even if it was the Coke dispensers, we would go ahead and wipe them down or something like that. But I always saw him as a superhero. Like, man, this dude, and now it comes to me like, man, you know what? This dude took us there to protect us. A parent, father, mother, they never stop protecting their kids. Even when you're 40 years old, you're still that woman or that man's child. And like I told him, I said, I don't ever think my dad or my mom stopped being my superhero.
Yeah, I think the same. I think my dad definitely has superpowers, but I do know that, he has a couple of flaws, but still, like, I definitely admire him. I definitely look up to him, and I'll always love him.
Well, what superhero didn't have flaws? Superman, Kryptonite, Batman, heights.
All that. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's not so. Maybe the flaws, but just also the mortality. Just they're subject to the same worries and anxieties and questions about life that I have, clearly, and especially when you have kids, because you influence your kids, but you don't control them. Like, even when they're infants, they have their own ideas about things, and you're bigger than them when they first come out, so you can control a lot of things around them, but they still, like, there's that little piece of you as a parent, at least me, it's like, okay, I'm doing what I can, but what they end up deciding to do, I have no control over that. And that little piece of vulnerability is just a constant part of a parent's life. I know for me, with my firstborn, Josue, my first feeling was just feeling clumsy. I'm like, I have this little person, and I wasn't sure, there was uncertainty about what I'm supposed to do with him. After, especially after leaving the hospital, and you guys know that feeling is like, man, these nurses aren't coming with us, because it was cloud nine when we were there. We were in the hospital a couple of days. They were helping, burping, feeding, changing, and like, it was nice. Okay, I can do this. And then we were leaving. It's like, y'all gonna leave this baby with us?
No, for me, it was always an adventure. I was trying to figure it out. Like, I wanted to find my own way to change diapers that was different from everybody else. I wanted to invent a new way and I did. I invented a different way to burp my kids when they were little. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't just pat them on the back. I used to, like, make them do a little dance, and then all of a sudden they just burp. It was funny, but it's like I was the only one that could get them to do it, So I never was scared of it. I was just ready to do it. I was excited, So I don't know. I had a ball with it. When they were little, it was fun. But I'll tell you this, though. I got a problem handling other people's kids when they're that small. I can't do that. If your kid ain't big enough to walk, I don't want to hold him. Like, nah, people be like, oh, you want to hold my baby? No, I'm good. That's too little for me.
Man, let me tell you about a moment I had. I was not gonna mention. I'll just say I was going on a new job, and they were having an event with a bunch of other colleagues, and this person comes up to me and just hands me her baby. Here, hold my baby. I'm new. This baby's not African American.
No.
I just thought about it. It's like, I don't know. I know this may sound wild. It's like, I've never held a white baby before. I don't know before.
See, so you actually held it?
People are looking at me. And I'm like, I didn't know what to do. And so
wait, you actually picked up this person's baby?
I'm sorry?
You actually picked up this person's baby?
No, they handed the baby to me. Just like, okay.
I had the opposite, actually. I'm curious.
I mean, with that. I don't like. They have to. The parents have to be really comfortable with me and insist that I hold the baby. I just don't grab. I don't grab folks' babies.
Nah.
Would you give other people your baby? Because I had the opposite, where I was holding my child, and the child, my daughter started crying a little bit. And said, "Oh, let me have her." I was like, "You don't know my child. Why would I give you? We ain't that close. Like, I know your name, but we never hung out before."
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, no, I got this." I'm like, "I don't know you, so I'm curious. Is that just a culture thing? Because I just wouldn't have my baby over to anybody."
Nah, I don't know, man. I think for me, I'm in your boat, bro. I would be like, let me if you're not family or you're not like hired to
Right.
take care of my child.
Even family had questions sometimes. Hold on.
Like I understand childcare, but that's it. And that was only on Sundays when we was at church. We checked the kids into the little baby center at church. Other than that, nah, maybe grandma, auntie, or somebody like that. That was it.
Well, my wife did childcare, so I knew where the child was going. So I'll cover Sunday. So.
Have y'all ever worked nursery?
No.
Man, so for about 3 years, I attended a different church other than Zoe. And I decided, look, my kids were young. Where am I going to volunteer? I'm going to volunteer in the children's ministry because I wanted to be around my kids. And so I didn't, it was the weirdest experience because I was ready to do it, but folks weren't ready to see me there with the kids. And I just didn't put it all together. I was like, oh man, nobody wanted to give me their kids. So, I wasn't angry. I just was like, that was the weirdest thing ever. Anyway. But hey, let me switch gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about holiday traditions. So what was Christmas like for you growing up? And then what's Christmas like for you now with your family?
For me, Christmas was definitely, we got that generic commercialized part of Christmas for the most part, because it might have been that, I grew up kind of in I don't know, my life was a big menagerie of religions and customs and all kinds of stuff. So, like we did not do the Santa Claus thing, but I do remember taking a picture with Santa Claus one time, but it was never a thing where I believed that Santa Claus was real. It was just, take a picture with Santa Claus so we could send it to grandma or something like that. But the biggest thing about Christmas was, yes, we did decorate our tree, and you would always look forward to December 25th. Couldn't sleep on December 24th. That whole thing. Could never sleep. And then, wake up in the morning, play with your presents and all that stuff. Most of the time we got something for play outside, like a big wheel or a pogo stick or something like that. And then there was the stuff for inside.
Hey, big wheel.
Hey, dude, believe me, though, I went through some big wheels, bro.
Don't hate the big wheel.
Hey,
the big wheel too, right?
But and then my dad did this thing for a couple of years where he gave us a couple of things, but he made sure to take us to Toys R Us for a shopping spree around like the 27th or something like that. So he just gave me a cart and said, go. And then, when I came back, he looked at my cart, he pulled out a couple things and then said, we bought the rest. He told me I couldn't have laser tag. Young black kids playing with guns is not a good thing.
Right.
Okay. That was probably my, one of my wake up experiences, the difference between being black and all my other friends who were playing with guns is, young black kids don't play with guns. He did tell me a story about a cop that shot a kid who had a toy gun. And, basically like similar to Tamir Rice. But, so I got that speech early in life. And after that, I was done with laser tag. But, like for me, Christmas was always something fun. It wasn't really like extended family because I grew up with most of my family on the East Coast and I was on the West Coast. It was really my nucleus family and that was it. So, but we definitely made sure to always be happy and be in each other's lives. And, as we got older and like my brother had kids, I made sure to go over to his house for Christmas and play with his kids and their toys, and, just enjoy it. It was fun.
So you're on the laser tag piece. That wasn't a restriction we had, but I think about it. I definitely think about that with my sons, toy guns and things. That definitely crosses.
Yeah, this was in the 80s when laser tag was the new thing, and I don't know what the new thing is now. I guess the new thing now is Fortnite, but back when when I was a kid, they had the big wheels. We had roller skates, we had laser tags, you know what I'm saying? But my dad was like, "Nah, you're not gonna do a laser tag," and that was it. All right, let me get on my big wheel and just go,
Go on Amazon and see how much a big wheel is going for now.
I'll do that later.
Yeah, it's like in the hundreds. Trust me.
You serious?
Yeah, big wheel used to be $30 tops back in the day. It's vintage.
A vintage.
Nah, but to answer your question, man, Christmas with us, of course, you do the traditional stuff with open up a gift the night before, but we always took the whole Thanksgiving theme to Christmas. What are you thankful for? Because there are a lot of people that are out here not having gifts, that don't have gifts. So I remember when I was in my teenage years, what we started doing is giving a gift to people on the block. You know what I'm saying? Just pick a family on the block and we just gonna give them a gift. So what I try to do now is do something similar, like, okay, so even if you see somebody that's less fortunate on the corner, or if we go to a soup kitchen or something like that, and I know we all discussed doing something like that last year. I think it was for Christmas or for Thanksgiving or something like that. But I make sure that I try to bless somebody, because I don't have a ton of resources, but I try to bless somebody with something, because, you know, we have enough resources to take care of the family, but also just try to bless somebody that's less fortunate. So that's kind of the tradition that I took on based on what my parents used to do back in the day.
Myself, I think tradition kept going up and down. Some years my family were doing good and we get a bunch of gifts. Some years not doing good. There's no gifts at all. We just, a couple of grateful for. I remember sometimes we had family over. Sometimes we didn't have family over. Sometimes my dad would wrap gifts the day of, which, why he wrapped them, because you go upstairs, wrap the gifts, and bring back downstairs. So it was kind of like, what's the point? But all of it, I think we as we grew in our faith, we will focus on, on Jesus and what we're grateful for. And I think that's something I was able to take on for my family, is keep that on. Also, one thing I'm not there as James is, but I remember I didn't start actually giving gifts until much later on when I actually started a job, which I see how much my mom appreciated and family appreciated. So I love that part of it. So actually I continue on and love giving gifts when I can, and I actually push stuff my daughter as well. So I make sure not only she writes what she wants, but also write what she wants to give. And so she's big, okay, what am I giving for my friends? What am I getting for grandma? What are you giving for this? And so at the point now where she saves her money up, okay, make sure you save money for Christmas. Make sure you give money up for, you're going to buy this, or you're going to make this for someone. So I think that's what kind of tradition we're having now, kind of keep that, not only the part where, it's about Jesus, and it's also, it's great to give gifts, but also what are you giving as well as a gift?
I love that. I love that, that just instilling that spirit of giving in your kids. I would say that I think like most people, when you're young, you don't realize how much people are giving to you when you have a experience. For me, I had so much fun with my extended family, and I had lots of extended family locally, so much so that we had to, the first part, like the first half of Christmas, we'd be on one side of the family. On the second half of Christmas, we'd be on the other side of the family. And it was just uncles and aunts and cousins and pies and, turkey, and it was just fun. And, not realizing that that's generated by somebody that, and on my father's side, it was certainly my grandmother, who was the centerpiece, and just navigating things, aunts and uncles making things happen. On my father's side, my grandparents and aunts and uncles making things happen. And then when you get older, it's like, oh, it's my turn. I got to bring, like, what do I need to do to bring the family together, cook, all those other kind of things. So I thank my family for the gift of family. There was those who were just rich time. I just like playing with my cousins and seeing my aunts and uncles and what have you. So that's been fantastic. And some of you have talked about some of the things you want to kind of continue with your own Christmas traditions. You can maybe say a little bit more about that. For me, I think I could do a better job of this, but really trying to instill in my sons the importance of giving themselves, making sure they think about Christmas gifts and things of that nature, and just kind of moving into that. The thing that bothers me the most is You have those moments where they're so into what they're gonna get, and you feel like, you guys are missing it. and you love to give things to your kids. You want to do that, but for them to really see the spirit of Christmas. But I'll say during the quarantine, we've definitely created some traditions, I think, this season that we really relished and looking forward to having it. How about any of you, some things you feel like you've established with your family?
I think for me, my house and my Christmas is different than the Christmas that I grew up in. We definitely focus on Jesus during the Christmas season and the birth of Christ. The miracle of the birth of Christ and the beginning of what it means to be a Christian. I didn't so much get that as a kid, but I understand it, and I'm pushing that onto my children. And one of the traditions that we do, ever since they were little, they still do it now, even though they're teenagers. We do sing "Happy Birthday" to Jesus every morning. You know what I'm saying? We at Christmas morning we do sing the Happy Birthday song. It was when they were little, it was a little bit more meaningful. But as I get older, I'm like, no, we're still gonna do it. We're still gonna sing it. we do, it's all good. But I definitely hear a lot of other things that I do want to start, with Christmas. Because to me, it was always about my family and making sure that we count our blessings. But this is a season of giving, and we do need to do more, like reaching out to people in need. Maybe we should do a soup kitchen, something like that. We talked about doing a soup kitchen for Thanksgiving, and that's something that I've done quite a few times. But Christmas, why not? Why not? Give gifts to people that we don't even really know. Just show up and knock on. I got a neighbor down the street that I don't really know him that well. But, let me just go drop a box on his doorstep and talk to him for a minute. Maybe I need to do something like that. So I think for me, I need to figure things out and learn a little bit more about what I want to do in the future, what traditions I want to pass on them to generations in the future.
I used to be a part of this youth group called the Youth Action Center. And so how I knew that what my parents were doing when they made us, save our allowance to put together to get a gift for somebody on the block, or whether it was somebody that was in need, we were at the Youth Action Center, and sure enough, man, we went on a bus, and it was a lot of kids, in Compton, and they didn't have a lot. They didn't have a lot, but we bussed them up to the bicycle club over in, what city is that? But the bicycle club, right off the, what is that, the 605? Or the...
South 710, right?
710, there you go.
Southgate, I think.
Yeah, but basically, man, they had one of the rooms, one of the conference rooms. They fed us, and they gave us all Christmas gifts. Now, I was a part of the group, so I of course I got mine last, but they did that to show us how special it is for people who don't have anything to receive something. So that just made me think about, I was like, oh man, my mom and dad do this every year. This is a part of what we do. But just seeing the expression on their faces, because of course we see the expression on the parents' faces, because when we physically take the gift down to somebody on the block, we see the parents' faces. We don't see the kids' faces. But that day, it just stuck in my mind like, wow, you know what? Look at how happy this dude is to get a little small radio, a light radio. You know what I mean? And so that's the reason why that always stuck in my head. That's why I said that I would continue to do that. So, I mean, that's basically where I stand on that one, man, because I think, yeah, Christmas is about giving, opening up gifts and everything, but you have to remember there are a lot of people out there that don't have anything. We're so fortunate. Like, I'm fortunate to be working right now in the middle of a pandemic when everybody's struggling. Everybody's struggling. People have lost their jobs. People have been furloughed. I lost my second job. But you know what? This is a season to where even though all that's going on, to give somebody something when you know they're in need, I think is more special than opening up a gift yourself.
Let me ask a question about that, James, and really to all of you. You know, what's the ultimate joy for you as a father? Like, what do you like if I mean, I don't know if it's a gift under the tree or not, but like, what do you, like you say to yourself as a dad, like if I got that, that would just make my Christmas this amazing. How do you, like, tell me about that. Like, what would you feel as a father would warm your heart?
My kids respect. No, I hope I have that. But no, just the fact that like every Christmas, I always feel like, man, I accomplished something. Because and this goes along to what me and Zul, we had a conversation a long time ago. He gave me a book to read about, how to plan stuff out.
Yeah.
So every year, what I try to do, and I had been doing it, but I do more now because I read the book. I take at least $5 out of each check for each kid. And I make sure that at the end of the year, I have their Christmas gifts. So that sense of accomplishment that, I set a goal in January to do something in December. And once I read the book that Zul gave me, it was like, wow, you know what? I can do more. So the fact that they're satisfied with what they got, what they get, and they don't forget that, oh yeah, well, with some of this, I'm gonna set aside to give to somebody in need. That's a sense of accomplishment, because a lot of kids feel entitled to the point to where, what am I getting? Not thinking about other people. So the fact that my kids, of course they have, okay, I'm getting my gifts and everything, but the fact that they don't forget that, hey, you know what? Let's bless somebody else. That puts more of a smile on my face, and that makes me feel like I've accomplished something, because I took the values of my parents and my kids are starting to get it. So that makes me feel better than opening up a gift.
Mm. I love the way you put that, taking the values of your parents and being able to see that your children have that.
Yeah, definitely. I don't see it any other way, man. I mean, I think that we've commercialized Christmas. Christmas is a big business. It's almost a bigger business than Black ignorance, because I think the black ignorance is a $1 billion industry, because instead of putting our money into our pockets, our futures, and our kids' futures, we put it into Louis Vuitton because Kanye West is the Louis Vuitton Don, or we put it into companies that don't give a damn about the Black community. So why not us, instead of looking up to these celebrities and looking up to these ministers and pastors and priests or whatever, what have you, why don't we make a difference? You know what I'm saying? The first step in our journey starts with us. I can't call Kanye and say, hey, you know what? I need you to help me start this business. No, I got to make that first step. And it's not until we do that. And because we're a reflection of our parents. So I want to show my kid, look, man, these are the values, and this is what my parents taught me. And look how I turned out. You know what I mean? I've never been in jail. I've never been arrested, never been hooked on drugs or anything like that. So I'm trying to feed that into my kids. And I mean, like Zul said it earlier, you took the good from your father and you learned from his mistakes. And I try to use every out-of-pocket experience that I have as a teachable moment for my kids, always. And the fact that they return the favor by having that spirit of, hey, you know what? Compassion, because there's other people out there that don't have what they have. It just softens my heart, man. And it's, for me, I'm gonna keep it going, and hopefully they'll take, what we're doing when they have kids, and they'll continue the tradition, if you want to call it that.
That's a powerful way of putting it. I think, for me, I think my sense of it is similar. I enjoy seeing my children genuinely happy, and I don't mean the kind of happy they get when they get some candy or they got a new toy.
Right.
But when they're genuinely experiencing joy, and that I know that something that I did was, part of that, I tell my kids, I was telling my breakfast, I said, one of these days, you're going to be happier giving gifts than getting gifts. I'm like, what?
Absolutely.
You ever do that? One of these days, it's I'm living it. I get joy out of seeing my kids have joy.
Oh, man, say more. Say more.
We just watch them play. But go ahead, Zul.
For me, I have to be patient. What the perfect Christmas for me that I'm still waiting for is when my grandkids come over and we have Christmas dinner and all that stuff. So I'm a few years away from that, but I'm looking forward to that one. The one that you see on all those Christmas movies, like This Christmas or whatever.
Yeah.
Grandma and Grandpa's house, like that. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm not there yet, but,
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Levell.
I think mine's more, I don't know, a little more stages. I'm not as deep as James here. So my part is just for now watching, I guess, each year, watch my daughter get better and better, go from, less unselfishness, from selfish unselfishness where she's not conscious what she's doing. She's, she want to give more. She's, not worried about toys anymore, worried about others. And eventually the point where she just, can handle herself, as James has passing on, our values on from our parents, and for myself, I want to be better than I am. So the fact where she's at a point where she's no longer, it's sad to get that point, but she will no longer need me. She take care of herself. She make her own decisions. She's successful in her life and direction. And she now, as Zul says, has her kids and passes down the same values so that, each step away, they can say, I took what my dad gave me, and I took what he had and went from here, and then went from there. And so that my kids outdo what I do.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm looking forward to, man. I want to see that what I gave to them, how it matured and nurtured inside of them, and what they did with it.
But for this Christmas, if you just take the toys off the floor so I don't step on them, because my feet are tired, step on the stars, that's a happy Christmas for this one. I don't wake up and not step on any loose Lego.
Legos is the worst, bro.
Right now. So right now, that's what I would like. That'd make me happy. That's a smell.
Oh.
Hey, so now to some practical matters. Hey, what are we eating? What we eating on Christmas, guys? What are we doing? What's our perfect Christmas meal, and what are our plans for throwing down? What we gonna?
Well, of course, it's a little different with COVID. I mean, I wish we could have like a big family thing. I want to invite grandma and get aunties and all that stuff over, but we can't do it. So for us in our house, I mean, there definitely will be a turkey and there will be a roast. I think all them side dishes. We try to make it so it's not like Thanksgiving, but some things will be there Thanksgiving wise. But I think we put more emphasis on the desserts when it comes to Christmas. I think there's gonna be cakes, cookies, pies, sorbets, all that stuff. We're gonna do it up like that. I mean, that's usually what happens. That's the difference between the Thanksgiving dinner and the Christmas dinner. And no, we will not be having pumpkin pie. I know you was gonna ask. I was like, no.
No. It was similar.
I eat pumpkin pie to be polite to people. That's not my choice. Pumpkin pie and stuffing that I oh man, stuffing and dressing, boy, they worlds apart.
Bro, yeah, dressing is what we do. Yeah, stuffing.
No stovetop stuffing in the house, man.
No.
That's almost like, what was the name of that? Oh man, the chicken shake and bake. we don't do that.
Yeah.
You get that flour.
I mean, I don't have a problem with shake and bake, brother. I'll do shake and bake.
I can't do shake and bake, bro. I got sick every time we tried shake and bake back in the day.
You did shake it correctly, that's why. Yeah.
What's up?
You did shake it correctly, that's why.
There you go.
Hey, I think we got an amen from one of our attendees about that puppy.
I see that.
Hey, my aunt and uncle made some mean sweet potato pie. That for me.
Yeah, sweet potato pie all day.
Yeah, sweet potato pie. Yeah.
Yes. No pumpkin. No, I can't do it. No. Even if you offer me a piece, I would just politely say no, thank you. Just leave it at that, dude.
You gotta be polite, man. You gotta be polite. You don't want them to try your food, right?
Bro, I'm not trying pumpkin pie. I'm just not. I mean, I think I had it once and I was like, absolutely not, never again. Maybe it is a good thing. I don't know, but I had a bad experience or something. I don't even remember. I just know I'm not doing it. It's not going to happen again. Like, I don't even remember the first time having it, but I know there won't be a next time.
Oh, man. So.
And I know somebody watching this is going to offer me a pumpkin pie. Like, nah.
Hey, are you guys cooking this Christmas?
I will. I typically, yeah. So I Christmas Day usually go off and spend time with in-laws, or the day before. Then Christmas Day go out to my family, spend time with them. Because of Corona, we're staying home, so I'm probably just gonna throw down. And unfortunately, with Corona, we gotta Postmate everything or ship it. So we'll see what we can buy online and get delivered and make. So my choice is limited this year, but we'll see what make it works. But yeah, we'll probably eat something. Usually we don't eat breakfast. We eat like late lunch for some reason. There's no like Christmas. So we go up, get a morning, open gifts, and then kind of linger around the day, make some bacon, but real food don't show up to dinner.
Gotcha. My Christmas dinner, as long as there's a red velvet cake, we're good. Yeah, so moms will make a red velvet cake. We will have a sweet potato pie, my grandmother's recipe, so that's pretty cool. So we'll do that, and just regular food. I mean, we don't go all out on Christmas dinner, but the red velvet cake is a staple in the Allen household on Christmas Day.
I think it would probably be the sweet potato pie and the peach cobbler. Pineapple upside down. Get them all kinds of sugary Christmas cookies, Snickers, all that stuff.
Right.
Like I said,
you need the kids to go to sleep at night, man.
Nah, we ain't worried about that, bro. They're gonna get tired anyway playing with all the stuff.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though my kids is older, I definitely make sure that they got something they're gonna enjoy. You got to get age appropriate gifts, and even with high schoolers, they'll get it.
That's true. That doesn't get old.
No.
I'm growing into my taste with cooking. So I'm grilling. I thought, I tell my family, anything get on the grill, we gonna do that. So grilling. We're gonna do breakfast. I got a special breakfast recipe I'm pulling out on Christmas. I like breakfast on Christmas. I like getting up early and having breakfast, open up the gifts. We got that going, and I'm gonna handle the meats for we can call it lunch or dinner, whatever you want to call it. It's gonna be whatever it is. And then we're gonna have that Laker games on. I told my family, we're gonna do everything before that. And then we're gonna check out this Disney thing, Soul. We're gonna check that out. That's streaming this Christmas. In our we have to screen everything before. So actually, Marcia and I, we're gonna screen it earlier in the day, and once it gets our stamp of approval, we'll rewatch it with our kids. So, but yeah, looking for a full slate. So brothers, tell me about what you're looking forward to moving forward in 2021. We're about to enter a new year. Look, I thought when Kobe passed, I thought that was going to be the event of 2020. I thought that was wow. Man, can you believe it? I remember hearing the news of it at church and texts and stuff, before, people were like texting about it. And, we were in the middle, my father was preaching, and, we found out over text, different folks. And so, we announced it at service live, like, hey, we need to pray for his family, etc. But that was the appetizer. That was like the appetizer. And so thinking about looking forward in 2020 as a father, what are you looking forward to that gives you hope?
For next year, 2021, I'm trying to take this time right now to build up something that we could, like release in 2021. I've been working with my younger son on a clothing company. He's an artist, so we just kind of figured out, well, since you like to draw, how about we put all your stuff on T-shirts? And so we've already started, but we're gonna really grow that a lot. It's called Second Seeds Clothing Company because he's my second son, and I'm my dad's second son. So it's kind of how we came to that. But and just whatever else I can do just to make 21 a year of increase. Actually, I dug out my old what's his name, Bob Harrison. I dug out his old CDs from back when when he used to come to Zoe all the time, and I bought the whole CD set. It's like 50 CDs, and I'm like, okay, now I got to get a CD player. I'm gonna go back through all, and just get some more, get ready for a year of increase. I think that in 2020 was the year that we planted the seeds, and in 2021 is going to be the year that they start to sprout. So that's my goal, is to just like really go after, cultivating the things that I've gotten started on since we've been locked down, and you've had to really focus and put your attention on things and building a foundation at home. And then once we're able to get out and start to really push things again, I want to have a good foundation, be ready to go.
I love that plan. How about you, James, Levell?
Well, like Zul, I started something that I wanted to do for a long time. I started a clothing company too, custom designs. I just figured, man, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity to start the process of creating generational wealth for my kids. So I've always had an idea about, I always had a thought about how my situation could be unique, because everybody has an idea when it comes to shirts, clothes, whatever. But I just wanted to see how I could make my idea unique. And so I'm putting in the work. I started the company already. And not only do we do shirts, we do Christmas ornaments. And we had a ton of those. But just seeing how it made my daughters feel excited that, oh, look, I can do something without the help of other people. It was another one of those, okay, there you go. Let me pat myself on the back, because I'm just setting the example for my children. And I want them to understand that, like, the best feeling in the world is not punching some clock. You know what I'm saying? The best feeling in the world is being your own boss. And so I remember having this conversation with you guys before, that I wanted to start something up like that, but I kept holding myself back by saying, you know what, I don't have the time. This stuff costs a lot of money, but again, I had to make some stuff happen and what is the old saying? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So I took that one step, created a plan, my whole layout, started the company. So for 2021, I want to grow my business, build a better relationship. Not to say that my relationship with my daughters are bad, but I want to build a stronger relationship with them. Now that I'm not working my second job anymore, let me spend most of that time, feeding into them. So that's how I see my 2021.
I love that, James. I love it. Your daughter's going to.
Myself, I've gone a different route. I've invested in properties like that. So 2020, I actually had to sell it, because the climate going on. So it's really focused at 2021, I guess, is more rebuilding again. So we sold our condo, took that money, really focused on going debt free. So we actually paid off the cars, and now doubling our payment towards our house to wipe out the house debt. So myself is really getting us financially back, or we're still in a good situation, but get us in a place where, again, we don't owe nothing. And so I could really focus on putting more towards other investments. So investing into the stock is that part of it. For my daughter, just try and grow her creativity. One thing that I've been putting on her and as being independent. So I had a cool chance for this year for her to go with that, where she went through and she wanted to buy something. So she asked her aunt, can she wash her car? And so when she washed the car for aunt then instead of giving the money to help her buy her candy. And she took the candy and then she sold the candy for $1 to make more money. And from that, then she wanted to go through and take that money to buy toys to sell toys. So just finding her ways, okay, how can she be, be creative, find solutions, and kind of grow that in 2020, in 2021. It was easier in 2020 because, hey, go to door to door, sell candy, but, that'll be the end of the year. For now, you can't go to door, especially with Corona going around. So how does she get creative and how does she find what she loves to do? And and find different solutions. So whether it's I talk about investing, how dad does it, he puts $1 here and then people give them $1 back. So just there's so many different ways of being creative, simple ways of her to even though she's young, how can she find a solution to get what she needs? So that's my big thing of 2021. Even though she's young, have her more independent to know she can do by herself.
Well, she might be a chip off the old block with that. I mean, you flipping houses and she's flipping toys. Maybe that's just in the DNA. So that's fantastic. For me, I feel like 2020 has been fertilizer.
Okay, I get it.
We had to. Well, everyone's had to kind of rethink some things. I certainly have. I'm a person that I'm pensive, reflective anyway, but it allowed me a chance to think about a lot of things. I launched some things in 2020, one of which is this very kind of online panel series, which I'm very excited about. And I've been practicing more on my instrument. So I've never practiced so much on my instrument before. So looking forward to doing more of that. But I'm very excited about what's to come in 2021, not from the standpoint of knowing like what's exactly going to happen, because I think we're just going to enter into a new phase of this experience. There's a lot of uncertainty, but I think regardless of what happens, I have a perspective and an attitude. Obviously my faith in Jesus is right there. And with that foundation, I just have a lot of hope and expectation for 2021, build things, grow things, and all those kind of things. So I'm really, really excited about that. And with that, I know there's one question I can see. Jamie, I'm going to invite you back on if you've taken note of any other questions, but there is a question that someone's asked anonymously, and Zul, you may be the best person to answer this question, given that you have you have an 18-year-old, but we can all kind of ask this question. But the question is this: if you could go back in time and do something differently with your kids, what would it be?
If I could go back in time and do something different, what would it be? Wow. I don't know, man. I feel like I've been doing okay. I mean, everybody makes mistakes, but if I could do something differently, let me think about that. So there's not a lot of dead air. Come back to me. Let me think on that one for a minute.
No, I'm thinking about just even your initial reflections. It's. I mean, you're right. It is hard to know. You can't, kind of what I was saying before. Like, you influence your kids, but you don't control them. And you really, there's so many things that they'll experience over the course of their life. And the payoff for that won't necessarily be obvious to you on the early end, even when they're young adults. So,
I don't know. I think okay. One thing that I could say, my daughter was she was having a lot of fun with gymnastics and she was having a lot of fun with dance classes, but I couldn't afford it. So she liked playing soccer because her big brother played soccer, and she learned to, and she got involved in that and she enjoyed it. but I think her brightest smile was when she was doing dance classes. And I think if I could go back, I would not base that decision on finances, and I would probably try to find a way to keep her doing the thing that gave her the brightest smile, which was dancing. She still dances and she still likes to sing. She sings a lot. Um, and if anything, like with the childhood that I had as a performer, I should have probably looked more into where her heart was and figured out a way to pay for it instead of saying, "Oh, we can't afford it. Let's go do something else."
Mm.
Damn.
Proper thought.
Yeah. Man, if I could change something, I'm on Zoel's team, man, because it's like I think I did a good job. I took my father's advice. I learned from his losses, and I mean, I tried to raise them basically the best way I could. I mean, my daughters aren't out of control. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm happy with the job that I've done. And I mean, like I was telling y'all last night, I mean, Chris Rock said it best, man. I know it's probably not the perfect place to say this, but he said when he had his daughter, his goal was to keep her off the pole. And I mean, even
You
though
didn't
that's
say that
funny,
last night.
no. I said Chris Rock said that, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
my thing is, I want to take, Chris Rock's humor and just bring it back to earth. Look, dude, we got too many Instagram models, 14-year-old Instagram models. We got too many 14-year-olds on Instagram wearing clothes they shouldn't wear. Why is that? We talked about it earlier. Sometimes the dad's not there, but when the dad is there, you got to be, like we talked about last night, you got to be that James Evan dude from Good Times. You got to be that Good Times father. We don't have a lot of those no more. We got a lot of Don Lemons. We don't have Big Mama no more. Like Chris Rock said, or somebody said, Big Mama's 35 now, or 40 years old.
Okay.
So again, it's the structure, man. It's the structure. If I could have it, if I could do it all over again, all I would do is strengthen up the foundation. I think I've done a great job because both of them, all three of my, well, I have four, but the three that have gone to school and all this other stuff, fantastic students. They're, and I'm not just saying this because they're my daughters, but they damn good in soccer, all three of them. You know what I mean? And so I would strengthen the foundation. I would find a way to strengthen it. I think it's strong now, but I would find a way to go back then and say, okay, let me see if I could do this a little bit better. Let me see if I could explain to them a little bit better. How could I be a better example? So, I mean, I would work on myself, and that would be the only thing I would do differently is work on myself. You know, am I loving their mother enough to show them that this is how a woman is supposed to be treated? Now, that's what I would do differently.
My daughter's still young, so my jury's still on me and whether I do a good job or not. So right now, I'm just like my best. I guess that's the question. Nothing going back in time now, but each step of the way, as I make a decision to watch it play out, I try to alter. Say, did that work out the way it's supposed to? I thought it would happen. Again, as parents, we don't know really until later on, and then as the Bible says, we don't really know until they have kids. So the jury is out on us being good dads when their kids show up and how they behave. So, that's how my dad understands how he is figured out whether he's a good parent is how well my daughter acts. So how my daughter behaves show a reflection of how he parented me, whether or not his values actually was good enough and instilled in me and passed on to her. So I'm gonna try to do the best now. Yeah,
that's an excellent point.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it did remind me. I mean, one of the things that's always been big on me is the scripture that says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children.
Right.
And that's one of the things that's always been something that I push hard for myself is to make sure that I set my children up so that, they're good. And then I leave them with something that makes them better. And then they have something for their kids, and I think that's been a lot of my drive. My whole fatherhood experience has been in that drive because I got that lesson before I had kids. And Looking back at, like, like I said about my daughter and her dancing and whatnot, and like, I know I've written her a couple of songs for her to sing, and she's, she's done pretty well with that. And she is good at soccer, so I'm not even gonna say like I regret her not dancing as much, because I know she is good at soccer and she's good at track and she enjoys it. It's just that I remember when she was like 4 and 5 years old, and she loved going to dance classes, and it was something that was like really bright in her eyes. She's got that now with soccer, but where would she be had she not stopped dancing? That's going to be something that I'm going to be asking myself a lot
Wow.
for, quite a few more years.
Wow.
And for me, one thing I do is when I think I blow the mark and just missed it completely, I let my daughter know, hey, you know what? That was wrong. I made a decision. It was not the right decision, and obviously, it didn't go the way we wanted to go. I'm human. I don't say I'm human, but I'm dad. But I still love you, and it was the wrong decision. So I'm honest with my daughter when I make a decision and it wasn't the right one at all. Or yeah, so
Yeah, similar to Lavelle, my children are still relatively young, but the way I think about it, I would just want to be more mature. I think that, anything I do for my kids is directly related to my own personal growth and development. I would just say probably more gentle and patient. I tell you, it it that you can never have too much of that. I can never have too much of that with the kids, because they're, you're an adult and they're kids, and so the flexibility is more on my part than it is their part, in terms of just being understanding and patient and loving, even when they make mistakes and they do things that, they know they're not supposed to do, but it's on me. And that, the more I can show that, the more context they have, the more kind of reinforce their sense of who they are. I mean, obviously, quality time with them. I doubling down on quality time, doubling down on gentleness and patience, I think, for me, is what I would just do more of. But again, I'm early in my journey, and I think there's ways that I do that now. But yeah, those are great responses, guys. I don't know if we have any more other questions, and I may have a closing thought or a closing question to ask the guys before we end our session today. And if we don't hear, I think that what I'll ask you all is, if you're Santa Claus, and what's your gift to fathers?
a black Santa or white Santa? We would clarify what kind of Santa Claus this is, right? So this is these Santa Claus or just Santa Claus or Saint Nick?
I'm giving understanding, man. That's basically it. I want people to understand, or fathers to understand, how special that relationship is supposed to be with your son or daughter. You know what I mean? So understanding, of course, wisdom as well. Those are the only two things. If I was Santa, I would deliver that to every man's doorstep that's a father. Even the young people out there, I would give it to them as well. Because before you have that kid, make sure you have the resources and the support group to support that kid.
Patience. I think for me, it's patience. You want your kids to do exactly the things. I mean, what am I trying to say? You want your kids to do the things exactly the way that you think they should be done, but you have to be more focused on the result than the process.
Good.
And I think that for me, that's one of the things that I learned. I wouldn't say early in my fatherhood experience, but somewhere in this journey, I've learned that you need to just be patient. If you have to explain it, explain it. Don't be so quick to jump in and do it yourself, because they have to learn how to do it. So you have to wait and watch, and then when they're finished, and then you can say, "Great, good job." You could say, "Next time, try it this way." Stuff like that. But to just jump in and do it for them and push them out of the way, you're never going to teach them anything that way. So patience for me.
Love that.
For me, is golly joy. I think sometimes, especially as parents and as Black parents, Black fathers, we have so much we try to work for. We gotta, prove that we're fathers. We gotta prove that we're good fathers. Or prove to be around because our parents was around, or the stick is out there. So a lot of times we could get so much in the doing that we step back and enjoy being fathers. Even as Zul says, as a kid makes mistakes, okay, I gotta help him with that part. I gotta help with that part of it. And a lot of times we don't go through and realize we get to do these things. As frustrating it is, okay, I'm making a decision here. I don't have the resources, or I should make that decision, or go right. I don't want to mess the family up. I don't mess the kid up. All the weight's on me. So a lot of that weight and pressure, a lot of men hey, get stuck in just that focus, and even sometimes emotional, hey, just get this done. I gotta make sure my family, as James said it, make sure my daughter's on the pole, make sure my son's not in jail. And that's just what I'm trying to make sure there's food on the table, make sure that the family's okay. So it gets so focused on doing the job that sometimes we get to enjoy the job, enjoy being with our family. So just that joy, being a father.
That's a good one, Levell. I think mine is very similar. Mine is affirmation. I think similar. We don't. I mean, if you take fathering seriously, and again, feeling the sense of responsibility, maybe pressure, just the idea that we are doing great things, and we're limited as to what we really can do. We really, I mean, we raise our kids, we play a role in their lives, but we don't do everything. They have the rest of their lives. Just like we were raised by our parents, we're living our lives, and just to affirm that we're doing what we can do, and put the rest in God's hands, and to take joy in that part that we play in shaping their lives. But I love everything that you all had to say. This was very rich. I learned a lot hearing your thoughts about fatherhood. To you and to our listeners, blessings to you this Christmas and this new year. I'm glad you're able to join us on our final online panel for 2020. I look forward to our 2021 slot. I have some wonderful things in store for you. But with that said, I just want to thank everybody for joining us this afternoon, and I'll see you next time. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody, and
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Don't bring me any pumpkin pie.
Not possible.
No, don't do it. It will be regifted.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.